Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. November 5th, 2023. It's week 9 of the NFL season, and we have an interconference battle on our hands down at NRG Stadium in Houston between the Houston Texans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For the main subject of our story, the Buccaneers, this is an absolutely big game for them, and that goes without saying. This is a Bucs team that has been skinning hard ever since their bye week, as following a 3-1 start to the season, they've brought 4 straight games, and haven't even so much as led a game since October 1st, more than a month ago. If you lose this game, not only do you fall further below 500 and make it a difficult hole to climb out of, but you slip further and further back in the wildcard hunt, and most importantly, the NFC South title race. The good news is that you're in a division that kinda stinks, as neither Atlanta nor New Orleans look like a legitimate threat to do anything. So you absolutely put yourselves in the thick of things if you win this game. But you have to win this game, or else your hopes for the rest of the season are looking awfully dicey. As for what we got, well, we got one of the best games of the entire year. Heck, this might have been the best game of the entire year. This game had it all. A ton of scoring, a bunch of lead changes, a lateral play, and the Texans even using their running back at kicker because their starting kicker got injured, with their running back even making a field goal in the fourth quarter. However, with the Bucs down 33-30 and time running out, they're driving down the field late. The situation is simple. Get a field goal, and the game is tied. Get a touchdown, and you've got the lead. Don't get anything, and the game is over. What followed was a bizarre sequence of events. Long story short, after Trey Palmer makes a catch and fumbles, recovered by Mike Evans, because a player cannot advance someone else's fumble inside of 2 minutes to prevent a holy roller situation, the ball is placed at the 14-yard line. However, because the clock would have been running otherwise had it not been for the stoppage, this constitutes a 10-second runoff, which means that Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles has 2 options here. He can use his final timeout and keep it at 49 seconds on the clock, which is what it would be reset to, or he can take a 10-second runoff and put it at 39 seconds. Now, in theory, this should be pretty obvious. Time isn't an issue for you guys. You're going to, at a bare minimum, tie the game. And with the way CJ Stroud is playing at the moment on the other side, seeing as he's got 400 yards passing, you don't want to give the Texans any time to march down the field and possibly retake the lead. You're this close to the end zone? Yeah, take the 10-second runoff, take it down to 39 seconds, heck, even take it down some more with the running clock, and you've got plenty of time to ensure that you touch the ball last and can run your offense. You've got plenty of time to run your offense and not let Houston run theirs. You've got...
Tampa Bay is elected to take a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff.
But why? Todd Bowles, man! Why? You literally can run the clock down and prevent the Texans from doing anything. Time isn't an issue for you. Now, if you score, the Texans have time to not to drive because of those 10 extra seconds that you didn't need to give them. Why would you not take the runoff? Why would you not take the runoff?
Houston up by 3. Shotgun for Mayfield. End zone! K-Dotton!
I mean, yay. You scored. Whoop-de-doo. But now, look at how much time is left on the clock for the Texans to do something, which you didn't have to give. You didn't have to give them any of that. And yet, you did. For some reason, you did. I'm sure this won't backfire in any way at all, right?
Stroud to the end zone! Touchdown! Tank Dell!
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, This whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Todd Bowles. Good old Todd Bowles. Is the entire NFC South just led by coaches who are brain dead? Arthur Smith is playing 8D underwater chess with how he utilizes his offensive weapons. Dennis Allen is doing something stupid every single week. And now, you've got Todd Bowles, who has made himself quite the figure on this show as of late. One of these coaches is making the playoffs this year, folks. One of these coaches is guaranteed to make it. Since taking over as the Bucs head coach in 2022, he has now appeared on this show a whopping 4 times. You can watch his awful clock management, where he refused to call a timeout against the Browns, by clicking the card in the upper right corner. You can watch his decision to try a field goal in a game against the 49ers, even though his kicker missed short from there in warm-ups, and the kick was well outside his range, by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And literally just last week, he was on this show for his debacle on Thursday Night Football, where he completely bungled his end-of-the-half strategy, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And now, he's back again, this time with the worst of the bunch, and the decision that might ultimately get him fired by the time the season is done. So with that being said, let's take a look at why taking a timeout instead of a 10-second runoff is a really bad idea. There were 2 options here. The first option was to do what anyone with a brain would have done, which was to take the 10-second runoff and have 39 seconds with a timeout next to your name. The second option was to do what Todd Bowles did for some inexplicable reason, and that was to take the timeout, not have any left, and have 49 seconds on the clock. There are 2 things with this sequence that you need to keep in mind. Obviously, number 1, you need to score, and preferably, you need a touchdown. Preferably, you want to find the end zone and take the lead, but you're already in chip shot field goal range, so barring anything crazy, you're going to tie. And because of that, you need to keep in mind the second thing, which is that especially with the way CJ Stroud of the Texans offense had moved the ball down the field, you don't want to give them time to mount a drive of their own and touch the ball. It's a balancing act. Make sure you have enough time to score, and don't give the Texans enough time to score themselves. Whether that's a field goal if you tie the game, even though they're probably not trying a field goal since they don't have their kicker, or a touchdown if you take the lead. You're at the 14-yard line. That means that if you want to call plays to the end zone, you have 3 chances. And if you just want to pick up the first down and then try for the end zone, you have 6 plays. Since if it gets to 4th down, you're kicking the field goal to tie the game. So that's how you have to look at this. You have 6 plays. Now, if you have 39 seconds, can you run 6 plays in 39 seconds? Especially when you have a timeout at your disposal, so you can use the middle of the field, or use it in case you get sacked? Absolutely! You have plenty of time to run 6 plays. And especially if you're taking an end zone shot where a touchdown ends the drive, you've got time to run 3 plays. Want to know how I know you can do it? Because you literally did it last week against Buffalo, when in the 4th quarter, needing to drive down the field, you ran 6 plays from the 3:21 mark to the 2:44 mark. So you ran 6 plays in 27 seconds, and that didn't feel like a tight squeeze at all. 6 plays in that time frame is absolutely doable, and especially if it's 3 plays, oh, forget about it. So whether you have 39 seconds left for the timeout or 49 seconds left, you have time to run all the plays you need with no issue whatsoever. Which takes us to the second part of the equation, which is all about preventing the Texans from having any time to move the ball down the field themselves and answer themselves. And let's think about this logically, because obviously the Texans have a worse chance of scoring the less time they have on the clock. So we're going to play a game that we played in kindergarten called Which Number is Smaller? Alright kids, Let's gather around in a circle on the mat and play this game. How it works is that I'm going to say two numbers, and your job is to tell me which one is smaller. Ready? Okay. Let's say you score a touchdown on a play that takes 6 seconds. Under option 1, where you take the 10-second runoff, that means you score with 33 seconds. Under option 2, where you don't, you score with 43 seconds. Which number is smaller? 33 or 43? 33 or 43?
Great!
I knew you could do it! Alright, let's try it again. Let's say you don't score on first or second down, but you do score on third down. And each play takes 6 seconds, so 18 seconds total. Under option 1, where you take the 10-second runoff, that means you score with 15 seconds. Under option 2, where you don't, you score with 25 seconds. Which number is smaller? 15 or 25? 15 or 25?
Great!
You're amazing! You're so good at this! Which makes you completely unqualified to be the freaking head coach of the freaking Tampa Bay Buccaneers! So let me get this straight. If your goal is to score, which it absolutely is for obvious reasons, how much time is on the clock makes no difference whatsoever, because you're still able to run the same number of plays either way. And once you score, your goal is then to stop the Texans and prevent them from scoring and taking the lead and winning the game. At that point, the clock is the biggest enemy of the Texans, so the less time that they have to mount to drive and do anything, the better. So both options present the exact same risk and reward when you're on offense, but when you're on defense, one option is clearly better than the other, because it gives the opposition less time to work with, meaning potentially 2 fewer plays to drive the length of the field, since again, they don't have their actual kicker. Heck, because the clock is moving on a 10-second runoff, you could even, if you wanted to, take even more time off the clock, since you don't need 39 seconds to run 3 plays if you're not even thinking about the first down right by the goal line, and you have the timeout if needed. So you could even take it down to 30 and give yourself plenty of time to do that, while also giving Houston even 2 fewer plays than that. And yeah, with option 1 presenting a significantly worse option if you're a defense than the other option, you chose the option that was worse. You chose the option that did not benefit your team in any way, and at the same time, posed the same exact reward, except with significantly more risk? How does that make any logical sense? Seriously, all you had to do in the spot was pick the smaller number. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew that except for you for some reason, because you're a moron. And after the game, when Todd Bowles was asked about his decision to not take the 10-second runoff, even though it seemed to be an all-risk, no-reward situation, well, he said nothing, because he wasn't even asked that question. Seriously, no one, not one person, throughout the entirety of this press conference, of which I watched every single second, asked about the most important sequence of the game. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, do these reporters even watch the game that they're supposed to be covering? Are they scared of asking tough questions? Do they know football? This was quite literally a game-changing decision. This was a decision that people have been lambasting, and rightfully so. This was a decision that was universally agreed upon by just about everyone to be the wrong one. And the big question is why Bowles did that and what was going through his mind. And we have no idea? No freaking idea? This is pathetic journalism. And I feel like dumb decisions is becoming just as much about the journalists and beat writers now as it is about the actual coaches. Because I want to know what he was thinking. And I can't even know that. Because no one with access that people would kill for even bothered to ask that question. Unbelievable. And just to further drive home the point in the game between these two teams behind me right here, let's assume that each play takes an average of 6 seconds. Let's assume the Buccaneers take the 10-second runoff and they take it down to 30 seconds. It means the Texans have 5, maybe 4 plays to go down the field 75 yards and score the game-winning touchdown. Under this scenario, though, where they took the timeout, they now have 8 plays. So good job. You just double the Texans' odds for no reason whatsoever. And of course, the great irony in this is that the Texans' final touchdown came with 10 seconds left on the clock. Exactly 10 seconds. Gee, I wonder where those 10 seconds came from. Good job, Todd Bowles, you absolute moron. Now I've got to worry about the Texans possibly winning this division. Hi. So what do we learn from all of this? Clock management and thinking more than one play ahead is absolutely essential. And if you do not possess that absolutely critical and necessary skill, then you should not be a head coach in this league. You just shouldn't be. If there are 2 options, and both of them present the same exact best case scenario while offering none of the risk whatsoever, then you have to look at the option that gives you the best chance of winning the game, which is the option with less time on the clock. And if you chose the higher number and give the opposition more chances to score through your own stupidity, again, to win the game and retake the lead, then you're a moron. Plain and simple, you're a moron. If you have the opportunity to limit the number of chances an opposing team has at winning, or will not limit your chances whatsoever, you're a moron if you don't take that. And if your name is Todd Bowles, you're a moron. And this second coaching stint of yours will ensure that you will not get a third one. I can promise you that. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.